This is the all four posterior hip capsule stretch on elbows. What we're gonna do to start in the position is get our hands underneath our shoulders and knees underneath our hips in this quadruped position. And then you might wanna widen your knees out a little bit wider depending on what's comfortable for you, but play around with it and see what works best for you that gets you the best stretch in the hip here. Now, we're trying to get a stretch entirely in the back of the hip here. So we're gonna use the left side as the example of the hip we're gonna stretch. We're gonna start by bringing this left foot closer to the right, and the amount will vary depending on what's comfortable for you. And then we're gonna hook the right knee behind the left knee. And if it's comfortable for you, rest that right knee on the ground, but make sure all of your weight is in that left side right there. And then Trevor is going to drop down onto his elbows, and he is going to feel a stretch in the back left pocket of his hip. And if it helps, he can get his elbows a little bit further away from him, and that can make it a little bit less intense of a stretch if you find that this is too intense. And all Trevor's gonna do is sit here and breathe in through his nose, out through his mouth, just trying to melt, literally just relax all tension in his body except for the stretch sensation that he feels in his back left hip. From a top-down view, what it looks like is you have a little bit of side bend on the left side, so the left ribs are a little bit more in and closer to the hip, and your head should be nice and neutral. So you don't want it side bent to the left too much. You want it just nice and relaxed, looking straight down at the floor. One thing you can do if you're comfortable and you're ready for it is to stagger the position of your elbows, meaning you bring your right one slightly forward and your left one slightly back, or just one or the other. And this will help turn you more left and help increase the stretch slightly in the back left, but only do this if you're comfortable. The biggest key here is you should feel the stretch 100% in the back of your hip. If you feel it in the front at all, you will not be getting anything out of this, and you will probably be making things worse. So if you need to, just make your elbows symmetrical and then get them a little further away from your knees, and that will help decrease the intensity of the stretch. The other common mistakes to avoid here are to make sure that you're not sitting too far back into the hip. Again, this can probably create a situation where it's too much too soon. So make sure that you're just kind of stacked with your hips over your knees right there. The last thing is don't have this right leg come too far back. This is, again, probably gonna be too much too soon for people. So make sure that right knee is just behind the calf or knee of that left leg right there. The other thing to avoid is to make sure you're loading the side you're stretching. So your body weight is on that side. If you're loading the knee that's back, the right leg here, you're just gonna push your pelvis to the right. So make sure that you have all of your weight heavy over this left side right here. As a progression, and if you're ready for it, you can add a very slight amount of elevation to the side you're stretching. So we have about 2-ish inches of a foam pad underneath Trevor's left knee, and that will help him get more of a stretch in that back left hip. But if you're not ready for it, you're gonna feel it in the front of your hip, and that's, again, the exact opposite of what we want here.